The duct hissed when I kicked the ice off its housing. Thin sheet of frost shattered under my boot, and the crack beneath it whispered CO2 into the air like a slow exhale. A minor leak, low pressure, hairline vent fracture. But on Mars, there's no such thing as minor when it comes to containment. I watched the gas drift upward, curling into the burnt red dusk like smoke from a dying fire. Didn't need a pressure gauge to tell me it would fail by morning. That segment, Unit 08C Northeast, had already been rerouted through Subgrid C 12 hours ago. Offload scheduled, automated. But I knew Ridge's maintenance staff wouldn't double-check the diagnostics until the alert flagged red. By then, we'd lose coolant flow to at least 3 stabilizers, maybe more. A full thermal sweep could trigger across the canyon rim. Another systems cascade. Another crisis on a planet where every mistake costs more than it should. So I did what I always did, logged it by hand. Pencil to paper, the old way. Wrapped in polymer casing, sealed into the logbook I kept strapped to my chest like armor. Unit 08C, vent, hairline fissure. Recommend full sealant cycle. The air around me hummed with low-level machinery, solar relay arrays, pressure stabilizers, the constant thrum of artificial life support wrapped around dead soil. I stood still for a moment, visor edges haloed with Martian dust, watching the sky split sideways by that sharp red beam of sunset. It always hit like that, slicing across the rim, painting the horizon like a blood smear before vanishing into gray static on my HUD. No trees, no birds, no wind that wasn't machine-driven. Just dust and steel and the ghost of Earth humming in our ears. I tapped my boots twice on the access panel. Superstition, an old one. 2 for the system gods, the texts used to say, back when crews still rotated Earthside. Now it was just me and a skeleton shift clinging to Redline because no one had the funding to replace us. Or maybe no one wanted to. My name's Grant Crow, 47, recon specialist, long past the age where anyone expects much. I'd done 18 years in U.S. Space Force Recon Division, the deep black, quiet missions, jobs with redacted briefs and cleanup instructions that didn't make it into reports. I quit after Ganymede, thought I'd find peace out here. Mars offered silence, but not peace. My earpiece clicked. Break in the direct channel. I didn't flinch. Crow, you on shift? Dr. Hal Liam, civilian. Geotechnical lead for Redline. We called him Rock Doc. Brilliant in that nervous way that always made you think he was about to apologize, even when he was right. Especially when he was right. I kept my eyes on the vent. Walking duct line 6. What's up? We hit something. That stopped me. Define something, Doc. Drone 7 just breached a subsurface layer. Metal. You hit a pipe. No, he said, voice lower now. It's Grant. It's titanium. Smooth. Plated. Like a structural wall. I was moving before he finished. The dig site sat northeast, just beyond the stabilized dome zone. 30-minute rover crawl across the plateau. Hal was waiting near the breach site when I arrived, pacing tight circles, stylus tapping against his thigh like a metronome, wound too tight. His glasses caught the rover's headlamps, 2 perfect discs of reflected panic. I didn't wait for explanations. Did you touch anything? I didn't. I stepped out. My boots sank half an inch into the red dust, fine as flour, dry as bone. The pit yawned before us, maybe 4 meters across, rimmed with temporary safety pylons that hadn't been there this morning. That meant Hal tried to report it. Ridge must have blocked the alert. Show me. He led me to the edge. The drone sat idle in the excavation floor, its left drill arm sheared off at the elbow, like it had hit something solid at the wrong angle. Buried in the lower wall of the pit was a panel. Dull silver, streaked with oxide, brushed titanium. I dropped into a crouch beside it. Felt it. Warm. Where's the breach? Behind the drill casing, left side, full vertical column. Internal readings show stable O2 levels, pressure at Earth sea level. I stood slowly, hand resting on my chest rig. Crow? Hal asked. I keyed the mic. Crow to Central. Security override. Route Naomi Ridge to dig site Bravo 7 immediately. Tier 1 alert. Repeat. Tier 1. 5 minutes later, the sky cracked with vertical takeoff wash as Ridge's shuttle descended in a tight spiral. She stepped out in full field uniform, black pressure weave, authority badge gleaming. Lieutenant Naomi Ridge didn't walk like a soldier. She walked like a woman who filed reports that rewrote careers. She stopped 2 meters from me, arms folded. Why am I being pulled out of command rotation like it's a fire drill? I just pointed. She looked. Then she didn't look away. No record of pre-settlement installations in this zone, she said. Red line edge, terraform cycle 3. Shouldn't be anything deeper than coolant ducts or crustal anchors. There wasn't, until now. She moved to the breach, leaned close. Hal stayed well back. Do we have power? She asked. It's lit, I said. Something inside is still active, pressurized. This isn't a malfunction, it's a door. Ridge stared at me. Not angry, not skeptical, just calculating. The kind of silence that usually comes right before an order. She stepped back. I'll issue the hold, suppress the outbound logs, lock down protocol. But you keep it sealed, Crow. That's your jurisdiction. If anyone breaks protocol, I'll have them on the next shuttle to Olympus. She turned to prep the uplink. Hal crouched beside me. This place, he said, it's not just old. It's wrong. It shouldn't be here. Neither should we, I said. Then the panel beeped. A low chime, rising. A seam split down the center. Hydraulics groaned. The door began to open. No one had touched anything. The door opened slow, like it had forgotten how. A seam split down the middle with a mechanical groan, venting stale air into the dusk. The kind of recycled breath you only found in decommissioned modules. Chemical, dry, layered with old carbon and something colder beneath. Hal stepped back instinctively. Ridge narrowed her eyes. You do that? She asked. I shook my head. Seismic pressure from the drone strike, or the heat from us standing this close. Either way, it wasn't us. Inside, the corridor glowed with a dull amber light, strips embedded along the ceiling and floor in alternating sequence. Power efficient. Military standard. No markings on the walls. No manufacturer tags. Just metal and silence. I stepped through first, one boot, then the other. Let the lock cycle finish behind me. Ridge and Hal followed. The door sealed with a hiss. The corridor stretched forward, straight and narrow. Each light flicked on in sequence as we passed, buzzing faintly. The architecture was wrong. Too precise. Corners curved not for aesthetics, but for sound dampening. Vent spacing didn't match any known Martian blueprint, too tight, built with Earth-standard scale in mind. And the floor plating carried no ID, no maker's code, no logo, like someone built it and erased the fact that they had. We walked in silence until the passage forked. Hal took a right, stopped at the edge of a small room. Command access, he said softly. Banks of monitors lined one wall, all dark, but the power indicator on the central console glowed steady green. I walked over, brushing a layer of dust off the casing. The display was intact, undamaged, no corrosion. Systems this old didn't stay preserved unless they were maintained, or unless something had never let them decay. This isn't possible, Hal muttered. Interfaces this age should have degraded. This is preserved. Ridge let out a short breath through her nose. Preserved for what? 10 minutes later, Hal found the lift. The shaft sat recessed behind a false wall. Manual override panel, encrypted splice pad port. No visible controls until I cracked it open and keyed the lock. The doors slid apart with another of those patient sighs, revealing a compact elevator interior. Reinforced alloy plating, brushed steel, no frills. Inside, the control panel offered 10 floors, unlabeled, just numbers. Every one of them active. I pressed 01. The lift hummed, engaged, and dropped. First stop was residential. The doors opened onto a corridor clad in modular alloy panels, off-white, joint-seamed, sealed by hand but guided by something far smarter. Doors lined both sides, each flush to the wall, each stamped with a 6-digit alphanumeric code. No names, no indicators, just identifiers. "Pods," Hal said, mostly to himself. "These are residential quarters." I opened the nearest door. Inside, a single bed, sheets folded tight, a standard rebreather unit mounted beside a dormant vitals node, everything in place. Nothing disturbed, like someone had just stepped out and never came back. Ridge moved in behind me, quiet. It's like they were waiting for someone to check in. We checked the rest. All the same. No signs of panic, no rush, no decay, just stillness. Function held in suspension. Hydroponics came next, rows of nutrient trays, vines long dead, but the systems still ran. Irrigation channels intact, tubing clean, filters humming in the background with looped automation. No power drop, no salt buildup. Maintenance-free systems that should have required at least one living hand to reset every cycle. But here they were, alive. How? Hal asked. How is this still running? Looped automation, I said. Systems in survival mode. Maintain baseline until the crew returns. Ridge flinched at that. Returns, she repeated. There was no first crew, she said, quieter now. Hal didn't answer. He was staring into one of the trays like he expected a leaf to move, like maybe something had kept growing. We moved to the next level. No alarms, no system noise, just the faint hum of machinery still obeying commands issued long ago. Khan arrived an hour later, Kian Bishop, systems linguist. He came down with a portable neural interface rig slung over one shoulder and a HUD visor over one eye. Said nothing at first. Just jacked into the local data port Hal marked and started reading. I leaned on a support beam near the door, watched the flicker of his HUD. You getting anything? I asked. Khan's fingers hovered over the pad. Structure's human, but not Martian formatted. None of this is Mars cycled. By the time we reached level 3, everything started to sync. Environmental systems began matching Redline's life support ratios. Oxygen levels mirrored surface settings. Internal air mix drifted to Martian standard, not Earth standard. Ridge's HUD pinged. Unauthorized signal matching detected. Internal systems are mirroring our surface specs, she said. Deliberately. That's not passive sync, I replied. That's active mirroring. Secure node behavior. She didn't like that. Neither did I. This isn't a sealed relic, she said. It's adaptive. Khan kept working, and then he found it. First data fragment. Buried log on level 4. Half corrupted. 3 names. Not in any Redline system. No crew manifests. No personnel files. But the badge IDs matched our formatting. Log date reads March 7th, Khan said. 2142. Ridge froze. Redline didn't start until 2150. Yeah, I said. So whoever logged that was already here, 10 years before we broke ground. She went quiet, eyes locked on the console. They were here first, I added. Before Terraform Cycle 3, before the domes, before we thought Mars had never been touched. Khan's HUD pinged again. Text flared on the screen. A prompt, simple, clear, awaiting confirmation. Occupancy threshold, incomplete. Hal stepped back like it had spoken. Ridge stared at it without blinking. "What does that mean?" she asked. I didn't answer. I wasn't sure I wanted to know. But deep down, I already did. This place had never shut down. It had just been waiting. The elevator opened without a sound. Level 6. No prompt, no warning, just a hush of pressurized air and a soft mechanical whine that sounded too smooth for something that had been sleeping for decades, or centuries. I stepped out first. My boots hit the floor with a dull tap that vanished into silence. Ridge followed, then Con and Hal. The air was warmer here, dry, tight. It carried an edge, ionized, faintly metallic, like circuitry just burned off static. The corridor narrowed, industrial. Utility piping ran along both walls, wrapped in aging polymer sleeving. Every few meters, caution tape stripes marked junctions and cross lines. Faded, but not cracked. Preserved in a way that didn't make sense unless someone had been maintaining it. Con paused beside a sealed wall conduit. His field scanner chirped once. "Rotating power cycle," he said quietly. "Low-frequency draw, patterned. Not passive. Something's heating up down here." We turned a corner and found it. A long chamber opened out ahead, sloped downward into what looked like a fabrication floor. At its center, a machine. Mill-lathe hybrid, multi-arm unit on a recessed platform. The arms moved with slow precision, extruding dark glass filament into preformed molds. One bracket dropped onto a tray. The next mold locked in under 5 seconds. There were no consoles, no control panels, no visible input systems at all. It was building from memory. Hal stepped down first, slowly, eyes fixed on the tray of completed parts. "These aren't modular," he said. "Not standard. No symmetrical patterning. They don't fit anything I've ever seen." "Supports?" Ridge asked. He shook his head. "Supports don't have groovework this complex. And look here. See this cavity? It's shaped like something's supposed to go in it. But the shape's wrong. It's not a bolt width. Not even standard radius." Con moved in behind him, scanning the tray with his rig. His HUD flickered, then blinked out for a moment. When it came back, no match. "No cross-reference," he said flatly. "Materials are carbon silicate, custom forged, not Martian alloy. This was made in 0G, precision built, but there's no blueprint in the system, no file. It's building without orders." Ridge stepped back, her voice quiet. "Then what is it following?" Con didn't answer right away. He crouched beside one of the brackets, ran a hand near the surface without touching it. His eyes narrowed. "It's not just structural," he said. "Look at the inner walls. See the indentations. They're spaced like data tracks, not language, storage. This isn't a part. It's a vessel." "A memory lattice," I murmured. Con nodded. "These are encoded. That thing's not building hardware. It's building a system." "And it doesn't want help," Hal said. No one moved. No one spoke. The only sound was the hum of the machine and the steady breath of the air vents. I stepped away, followed the wall to a service alcove. Rusted latch. Hazard stripe across the seam, long faded. I popped it open. Behind it, rows of heavy cable trunks, not power lines, communications. Thickly insulated, routed internally between levels. No uplink cables, no satellite antenna tie-ins. "This place wasn't built to transmit out," I said. "Only down." Ridge moved beside me. Her voice was low. "Like a bunker." "Like a brain," Con corrected. "A distributed one." I followed one of the lines to a secondary grate, pried it loose. Behind it, an access tunnel, narrow. Cooled air pushed up from the shaft, acrid, faintly charged. "I'm going in," I said. No one stopped me. Ridge just gave a short nod. I tightened my shoulder harness and crawled forward. The duct sloped down. The air dried further. Sound fell away. The only noise was the quiet drag of suits through steel. After 2 bends, the tunnel opened into a wide atrium, curved walls, ceramic flooring. We dropped down in single file. What hit first wasn't the visuals. It was weight. The density of the room, like memory pressed into concrete. Servers surrounded us. Not the tall, blinking towers from surface tech, but reinforced cores, glass-sealed, scaffolding like ribs curling inward, massive structures built to survive war, vacuum, time. The indicator lights blinked, slow, arrhythmic, but still alive. "This isn't a server room," Khan said. "It's a command brain, quantum mesh, distributed logic, designed not just to process, but to decide." He crossed the chamber, climbed 5 shallow steps to the raised dais at its heart. In the center, a single fixed terminal. Dusty but clean. A simple chair bolted to the floor in front of it. Khan wiped the display with his sleeve. It flickered. Soft green glow. Then a prompt. Below the screen, a slot glowed green. "Not biometric," he muttered. "Physical key input." External eye stepped beside him, opened the slot. Inside was a crystal shard. Black, heavy. One end exposed to reveal etched silver lines, tight and purposeful. "That's not just storage," Khan said. "That's an inheritance node. System state capsule. Identity lock." Etched into the slot's edge were the words, "Inheritance. Key engagement." Post-colonial use. Only Hal took a step back, like it had burned him. "Post-colonial," he repeated. "They expected someone to find this." "They needed someone to," I said. Ridge's voice cut the silence. "If this was built by Earth, someone already knows it's here." She looked at me. "So why didn't they say anything?" I hesitated. Khan answered first. "Maybe they did. Maybe someone at the very top knows, and their silence is deliberate." Ridge crossed her arms. "Why bury something like this?" "Because it was never meant to be used," Khan said. "Not unless Earth failed. If things collapsed bad enough, this was the reset switch. Build something new, smarter, quieter." He gestured to the servers. "And then the threat passed, so they buried it, scrubbed the logs, built Redline right on top of it." Hal folded his arms. "And now we're standing on the last fallback plan no one wanted to admit existed." "No," I said. "We're standing on a choice." I held up the shard. We all stared at it. Ridge was the first to speak. "Crow, that system could run every dome on Mars. It's stable, autonomous. It survived. That's not a relic, that's a foundation." "And if we bring it online?" I asked. "Earth will tear itself apart fighting over it. This was built when the only future was military. You really want that to decide what comes next?" Silence. Ridge didn't answer, but she didn't argue either. Khan nodded. "We seal it. Fake a collapse. Feed the authority a cover report. I'll write a dummy script. Structural instability. Sensor ghosting. Then fade to blackout." "I'll issue a lockdown," Ridge said. "Command conflict. Dormant review. The site goes cold." "And the truth?" Hal asked. I looked at the shard in my hand, then slid it back into the console slot. The screen dimmed, green light fading. "I'll log what matters," I said. "By hand. Analog. Off system." We left through the crawl space, past the fabrication floor, still printing, still remembering. We didn't speak much. Ridge stared out the rover window the entire ride back. Hal kept his head low, hands folded like he was still praying someone would wake up and say it wasn't real. Khan sat in silence, eyes flicking left to right, already layering counter-narratives. Outside, the Martian dusk painted everything in rust. The wind kicked up dust behind us. There was no marker, no beacon, no sign that the hatch we buried had ever existed. We didn't win. We didn't solve it, but we stopped it. For now. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's what inheritance really is. Not what you take with you, but what you choose not to pass on.